guys, welcome back to another one of the bass videos in this series of just becoming a better bass player. One of the things that we're going to talk about today is some scales. We're going to learn 2 more scales. We're going to learn 3 chords. So with those, you should be able to basically, take what you got and move a little bit forward. But one of the first we're going to work on is a pentatonic scale. And basically what pentatonic means is 5 tones. So basically if you include your octave, you're looking at 6 notes. So if I were to do a pentatonic scale out of G, I would just do 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. And now that is a standard blues scale. Now you can move that around, and figure out where you want to play it. I mean, you can play it here. Or you can go back down here, G. So you kind of get the idea there. Now, one of the other scales that we have covered in the past is just a standard C scale, and it's now that is basically a C major scale. Now there's always been some confusion in my head as to why it's 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, but according to the way that I understand the scale, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect, that I know all, end all to be all for scales, and I'm just as I learn every day just like everybody else. So I mean, you'll find different fingerings for these. So basically each individual fingering you can come across when you're talking about scales, depending on which one you sharp or flat. So if I do a standard scale out of G, a major scale, that's what I call a standard scale, is a major scale, but I would do G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You get the idea. So basically, even though out of G it's a fingering of 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, now if you go and come up here to C, it's 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. So it's just things to keep in mind as you continue to learn some of your scales. Now, one of the other things that I wanted to talk about is basically, like we discussed in our last video, you can do scales all kinds of different ways. I mean, you can just hit E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. I mean, you can just, that is a scale. If you just want to practice that way. If you're still learning your fretboard, go back to one of the other videos, find the one that's learning your fretboard, and go through and learn your fretboard, because you can do octaves in scales. So I can do E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. Now that is a scale, but it's also octaves, so it's a scale of octaves, or whatever, octavated scale, however kind of beautiful music theory you want to throw in there. But the point to scales is the main things when you hear people talk about the modes, the mystical modes. It basically means that which one they're going to sharp and flat, depending on scales, which scale you're doing. And you can find all kinds of stuff out there about music theory for bass. But basically what you're going to find is that various, like Mixolydian, Lydian, Dorian, Locrian, and I think there's like 8 or 12 of them. I don't memorize things that I can look up in 2 minutes or less. That's a lesson from Einstein. So basically, if you're going to sit down and learn this stuff, don't worry about things that you can look up really quick. If you've got the information available to you, then just kind of set it down as I do. I've got a little notepad here that I basically lay out for the videos and talk about things that I want to discuss with you, and make sure that you're in understanding of what it is that I'm trying to convey, and I hope that everything that I teach you comes across and comes across well. That way you can be just a better basis. And as we discussed, I mean, those are the two scales that I wanted you to learn. I want you to remember the pentatonic, 2/4, 1/4, 1/4, or the standard or major scale. At a G, at a C. So those are your two scales. So for those, I mean, now there are hundreds of scales. Now you can go back to, again, searching in the modes, find out which one fits each individual little pocket, and this is where the keys lock in, things like that, and that's where you can kind of get some better understanding, kind of a better roundedness of the differences in, you know, different modes and why there are different modes and things like that. Now the last thing we're going to discuss real quick before I go is we're going to cover 3 different chords. Now these are universal chords, and what I mean by universal chords is that they can go anywhere throughout the fretboard. So I'm going to show you an A chord. Now I'm strumming all 3. Now as you can see, all 3 notes are fretted, none of them are muted. I mean, you can hit them open and hear that each one of them rings through. But if I do here, that's an A. If I do here, that's a D. Sorry about that, a little bit of a flat moment there. D, and then E, F, C, B, oops, there we go, right there, sorry, that's a C, same as this. So that's one of the chords that I want you to start to get familiar with. It basically plants here on the A, you're going to hit C sharp and then F, okay? So basically your pinky's going to be here, your ring finger's going to be here at C sharp, and your first finger's up here at F. Alright, so just keep in mind that I'm not shooting you the bird. I am actually showing you that I'm not planting my middle finger. The only ones that are planted are my pinky, my ring finger, and my first finger on A, C sharp, and F. Now, again, that's a universal chord. I can move it down to here and do a D. Now, next we're going to discuss something that you've seen every single guitarist in your life do, and that's a bar chord. Now, that is a D, and basically I know that because I've got 2 octaves, alright, and I've got an A. That's basically spells dad, D-A-D, but for the most part that is a pattern that you need to know. Now you can come up here, and as long as you're barring, that's why they're called bar chords, is because you're barring this string here. Now that is a minor chord. Now keep in mind I'm strumming all 4 strings. I've got my bar going all the way from our C at the bottom to our A at the top. I'm planted here on E, A, and then the C sharp way down there at the bottom. So minor, and then if you just plant all your force on your pinky and hit your root note, that's a major. I hope you can hear the difference. Yep, everyone makes mistakes. I'm sorry about that, but anyway, minor, major. Now these can move around. G major, G minor. So if your guitarist says, alright man, it's that G minor, you know, you're kicking along, and you're just kicking along, you're playing your bass, you're kicking along, and you figure out, oh, well, you know, wow, this would be a great place for me to do a little bit of a solo or whatever. Keep in mind, if you learn these chord shapes, that these will give you the notes that you need to be hitting during that solo. So if you're in A minor, all right, you would hit those notes individually as part of your solo. And maybe, you know, as part of that solo, you're going to step up here and you're going to do a scale out of A, and you're going to go A, B, C, D, E. Get the idea. I think I messed that up there at the tail, but the whole point is that you can do a scale anywhere. All you have to do is know which one you want to do, know what direction you're headed, make sure that you're in the right chord for your guitarist. And in one of the next videos, we're going to have a guest, and basically we're going to discuss how, as a bass player, we lock in with guitarists. So you guys take that, run with it, hit me up if you have any questions. God bless. Chris Farrell.